morning. Yeah, I'm having a little hard time hearing you. Let me get my volume up. Okay. Yeah, I turned it up to 100. It should do. Yeah, that did. Whatever that was. Thanks.
Alex Aquera, Transportation.
Marlena Dooley, Environmental Health. I motion that we approve item 2B.
I second that.
Aye. Do we need to start over again? I mean, the whole meeting or just that item? It's 2A, not 2B. So that's not a bad thing. Let me know when you guys are ready, okay? Mark? Mark?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's the difference between that packet and the one we had? I don't see it.
Oh, the difference is, are we on YouTube? Their new owner information is in that new packet. So it's just updated maps that show the new owner. Yeah.
Just checking. I looked at the maps and went, no, that's the same one.
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified.
Thank you for the update. I couldn't find it.
Oh wait, there's a cord there that's unconnected. Does that need to be connected to something?
No, it does.
No, it doesn't. You said right on you guys. That's the owl. Is it unplugged?
It's unplugged. somewhere. Not yet, just take a minute. It usually makes a noise when it turns on. Russ says there is sound now, so, but it's obviously not the owl. You can see that we're getting the camera from up front.
Yeah.
Instead of
Okay. Well,
the owl.
he said we have.
There's a bit of an echo from Marlena, but we do have sound.
I barely heard my name. What?
Oh, yeah, sorry. We're trying to figure out what our issue is. And Russ said that there is sound coming out on YouTube now, but there's just a little bit of an echo from when you're speaking, but it shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I mean, what could I do to change that? I don't have
think that there is anything. I'm just not sure why that's still not on.
I don't have anything up in any other way. I don't have YouTube up.
No, it's not. I don't think it's on you. I think it's on us.
Oh,
Yeah, we're good. This whole thing's been recorded.
Okay.
I think we can start over.
As long as we can be heard on YouTube. Good.
we're starting over.
Okay. Let's do a quick roll call again, just to capture everything. This is the Subdivision Committee for October 13th, 2022. I'm Matt Goings, Planning and Building Services.
Alex Sequeira, Transportation.
Marlena Dooley, Environmental Health.
Perfect, thank you. Let's start with agenda item 2A. Subdivision Committee Action Administration. Discussion and possible action, including adoption of resolution of the Mendocino County Subdivision Committee finding that state or local officials continue to recommend measures to promote social distancing in connection with public meetings. Can I have a motion, please?
I move to approve resolution item 2A.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make sure it's on. Okay. Next item is 3A. Boundary line adjustment B 2022, number 8, for owners Robert Hildebrandt, applicant Pete Jackson, J&A. This is a boundary line adjustment to transfer 2.83 acres from one parcel to another, which is a lessening encroachment. The lots are located southeast of Ukiah, east of Old River Road, north of Yokayo Tri Branch Road, located at 5000 Old River Road and 1314 Yokayo Tri Branch Road. Is there anybody here for this application?
Yep.
Okay. Environmental Health, do you have any?
Oh, is there someone here? Yes.
Okay.
Hey there, Bob, you there? Can you hear us?
Try unmuting. Looks like you're muted.
Okay,
Perfect.
I'm just acknowledging being representative.
Okay, perfect. Environmental Health, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Transportation?
No comments.
No comments. Planning is recommending approval of this project, so can I get a motion?
I move that we approve boundary line adjustment 2022-0008 with standard conditions.
I just want to make sure, I know it's on the, there's that special condition. I don't know if we want to reference that in.
Oh, please remind me. Let me go through the stack of this project. What was our last special condition, Alex?
There's at least on the cover sheet, special condition 1, the proposed boundary line adjustment shall not be approved until lot 1's configuration has been verified via the recordation of certificate of compliance CC 2022-4.
Is that still a need, Rob?
No, that is done and recorded.
I meant, Rob Fitzsimmons.
Okay,
But I thought,
Rob's not here.
oh, sorry. I thought the CC was done, so
it is done and has been recorded for at least 2 weeks.
So do we not need that special condition, DOT?
Can anyone hear us?
I hear you.
Okay.
It's a planning condition.
Well,
I thought,
then,
I was just pointing it out just because I saw it on my cover sheet, unless I have an older referral packet.
no, it's a good point. It was definitely on there last time. I just thought through getting all the revised maps that had been something that was completed. But I'm not in planning, so I don't know.
yeah, I'm not sure if it has to be, it sounds like you already did it, so I'm not sure. I'd have to talk with Rob to find out.
Okay, so Russ believes it's been completed, so the condition is a moot point now.
Yeah,
Okay.
Here, if you can see me, here's a copy of the recorded document.
We can't see you.
Okay,
We
I
see your
feel
name.
it.
okay.
Okay, I'll start the motion again,
Yeah, please.
or is it still on the table?
I don't know. Well, yeah, it's still on the table. I don't think we, Alex had that comment, so planning's approving that, I was gonna approve this, so, let's get a motion to approve.
I move that we approve boundary line adjustment 2022-0008 with standard conditions.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to item 3B, boundary line adjustment B 2022, number 28 for Marshall and Sharon Stellar, agent Jeremy James. This is a coastal development boundary line adjustment to transfer acreage from one parcel to another, located southeast of Albion on the south side of Navarro Ridge Road. There's no address assigned. Is anyone here for this application?
If you are here for this project, please use the raise hand feature.
Seeing none. Environmental health, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Transportation?
No comments?
No comments. Okay. Planning is recommending approval to the coastal permit administrator for this project. Can I get a motion on that?
I move that we recommend approval to the CPA for boundary line adjustment 2022-0028.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And that's it for the boundary lines today. On to minor subdivisions. Item 4A is minor sub 2019, number 4, for owners Ruth, Maureen Slocum, Robin Madison, and Anna Summers. This is a minor subdivision of a parcel of approximately 44 acres to create 2 parcels of approximately 22 acres each. The lot is located southeast of Willis on the west side of Westview Road, located at 6500 Westview Road. Is there anybody here for this? Yes.
Hi,
Hey,
I'm Anna Summers. Hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Would you like to add anything about this, or would you like to have any comments or concerns? I mean, we're going to get to, well, maybe we should come back to that, because if we go to DOT and environmental health, I'm sure you're going to have questions about some of the conditions. So maybe we should go that route first.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. Let's start with environmental health, in comments that you have or special conditions.
I want to make sure I have the same set of conditions you guys got. Let me get to my number, or my numbers.
Yeah.
So that when we go down them, that we all know that we're on the same ones. I saw that DOT included theirs in the placket. Very nice, Alex. Where am I? Looks like I'm gonna start on my number 28 for you guys, or 27.
You start on, you technically start on 24,
24.
hydrology and water quality.
Okay, I still need okay. All right. So Anna, we are going to start on item 24, which I think is your page 6. I presume we'll go back to planning. But the items that I'm talking about are the ones that we're going to mark boxes or fill things in. And
Okay.
if I'm going too fast or if there's a question or anything else, just stop me. We're not in a hurry. We're here to answer any questions you have about it.
Okay, thank you.
So number 24, absolutely. We always reserve the right, although I acknowledge in your case, you're probably not going to need a soils evaluation.
You're saying a soil evaluation?
Well, number 24, do you want me to read it to you or do you have it?
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're speaking to.
I could share screen with you.
Yeah, that might be helpful.
Let me get it up nice and tiny. Okay. No, not that. Just want. Okay, I think I'm just sharing the document because that is my intent.
Okay, yeah, I do not have that document. So yeah, screen share is nice. Okay.
So you're seeing at the very top it says hydrology and water quality.
Yes.
Okay. And nothing else?
No, well, yeah, I see the hydrology, water quality numbers 1 through 28, or sorry, 24 through 28 I can see on my screen.
Okay, I just have a cluttered desktop, so I was just hoping that wasn't showing. Okay, so number 24 is the first recommended condition from environmental health. It states that we reserve the right to be on site and be notified if test pits are dug.
Okay.
I was saying, in your case in particular, I don't anticipate that to be the case.
Okay.
Okay, so both of the lots, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Anna,
Yeah.
have existing single-family residences with existing permitted septics that are installed and in use.
Correct.
Are there any other structures that a septic is proposed for?
No.
Okay, because some of the buildings, I wasn't quite sure what was going on with which one. Okay, and we're gonna scroll down. I'm gonna scroll my screen. We're gonna go down to water.
Okay.
So number 28, we are gonna mark, which is making sure that the department receives a scaled map, which will be a part of your subdivision requirement. And then we're gonna mark number 29. and the first option, which says 1,200. Now, I want to talk with you about that.
Sure.
So environmental health is setting the requirements for water and sewer. We started with the septic, now we're moving on to water. Because it's my understanding from your application that your parcel is going to be meeting the water requirement with either a well or a spring and not with a letter from a water district. These are the conditions that are associated with that. There's going to be two of them. One's going to be addressing water quantity, and the other is going to be addressing water quality.
Okay.
So the first one, 29, because of the location of the subdivision, it qualifies for the lowest tier of proof of water for inland areas, which is the 1,200 gallon proof of water.
Okay. So is that the gallon a minute that you were talking about?
Yes. And so below that, there's a gray spot for us to fill in. And this is going to say this is going to say any.
Okay.
So a proof of water on a well or a spring from a water source located on parcels any of the proposed subdivision.
Okay.
Then
So go ahead, sorry.
the last condition is number 30, which is a water analysis. You have to get a sample of the water tested for these specific items. And we have a lab in this county. You're not required to use that lab, but you do have to use a public health state certified laboratory.
Okay. Are there levels of appropriate, I mean, because it just says here that you're tested for these, you know, minerals and such.
Yes.
Is there more information about what are like appropriate ranges and such?
Certainly. The lab usually provides you guys with a really exhaustive list. Environmental health, I'm going to check it against the set recommended levels from the EPA. And if one of these items is higher than the recommended level, what happens is a note has to appear on the parcel map that says, let's say the first thing, calcium. The note would say high levels of calcium may be encountered on this parcel. It doesn't stop it. It doesn't require treatment. It's a note that this exists in the water supply in this area.
Okay, so it's just an information gathering exercise, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the last environmental health requirement.
Okay, can we go back to 29?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have done our own, you know, flow testing of our springs. We don't have any wells on the property, and we have 2 developed springs on the property. One of them can be tested at source, right? The second one cannot be tested at source because the infrastructure is all underground. So I don't know if there's any accommodations for that. But also, that being said, we do not have the gallon a minute requirement. However, we do have ample storage and we're constantly in overflow. So neither household is overusing the spring, right? Like whatever we use during the day fills up the tank and there's overflow by the morning. And that is even including, you know, the driest time of the year and the fact that we're in a severe drought. So I didn't know when this requirement, you know, was put in and if there's any allowances for drought conditions or storage on the property, anything like that.
I can certainly give you the more detailed guidelines and instructions on what a proof of water is, specifically the areas that speak to when your proof of water is from a spring. I know that this requirement is in the land division guidelines for the county, which I think is 1994. I understand that this requirement has been in county code since then, at least. I was not here then, but we could certainly look back into code and see how far back it goes. I will say that those sections don't speak specifically to drought. There are no waiver provisions in there. I'm curious about where you're sampling for the spring, and this is more kind of in the weeds. And I'm wondering if you guys worked with a qualified site evaluator and what their recommendations are, because it's a pretty standard condition to demonstrate that you have adequate water that is not storage.
Okay. No.
And certainly we could talk more about this and get more details. I will point out this is a recommended condition to the Planning Commission. You will be able to make your case for any condition that you are hoping to be waived or amended. And that may be the place where you would bring that other information forward.
Okay, so we haven't paid for a qualified site evaluator to come out because we, doing our own testing, knew that we weren't going to hit the requirement. So in some regards, we kind of considered it a waste of resources to pay somebody to tell us something we already knew, kind of. I didn't know if it would be, because we are still in that window, right? There's a window of when we can test the flow here, and it closes at the end of October here, right?
Right.
So do you believe that it would be beneficial for us to have the site evaluator come out and document the flow from the springs that we have, and document the storage, and document whatever can be ascertained about our water on the land? Like, that would be something that you would suggest we do, because I don't believe that this project will come before the Planning Commission before the testing period's over, and I don't want to miss it, obviously, the testing period right now, and then have to wait a whole nother year, because as you can see, this has been, on the books since 19. So do you have a recommendation for how to move forward given the constraints that I already know exist?
You will have to have any documentation submitted by a qualified site evaluator. So if you feel that doing that next week is better for your timeline, then I would recommend doing that next week. There is no self-certifying a water source.
Yes. Yeah.
So, or lack thereof, or proposed infrastructure, or any of those parts. I will say, once an item goes to Planning Commission, that's when the conditions are set. And then you have, I believe, a year to meet all of those conditions. So you're not required to walk into Planning Commission with that information, although you may want to make your case.
Okay. All right. That gives me more information about, what might be advantageous given, again, the limitations on the water on the property. Okay. So what I hear you saying is that that I will need some documentation from a qualified water or site evaluator, regardless of whether it meets your requirements or not. But it could be useful to have that report from a site evaluator when going to Planning Commission.
Yes, especially if you're going to ask for a waiver to this standard.
Okay. All right. That helps me understand how to move forward. Thank you.
Set it from environmental health for now. And I want to apologize. I went a little out of sequence here. Usually planning goes first, but I think I got a little confused with the technical difficulty, and then I just jumped straight into environmental health. So we're going to go to DOT, and then we'll circle back to planning, and then the next minor sub will start off the right way with me, and then go from there. DOT.
Okay. Do you want me to, is it easier if I go through the checklist, or I do it both of them?
Just call out the ones that you're wanting to, so you can, if Anna has questions.
Okay. Yeah, I sent the letter with the basically taken from the checklist and summarized into a nice document here. So I'll just go through each of the items, and then we can stop anywhere to discuss.
Are we talking about the October 8th letter or?
The May 10th, 2022 letter.
Okay.
Yes, that's the latest one. Okay, so there shall be provided an access easement of 40 feet in width from a publicly maintained road to each parcel being created. This documentation of access easement shall be provided to the DOT for our review prior to final approval.
That's number 40, right, Alex?
What?
That's number 40 we're talking about.
Yeah, that'd be number 40. Yep. And then moving on to 40C, if a parcel map is filed, all easements of record shall be shown on the parcel map. All utility lines shall be shown as easements with widths as shown of record or a minimum of 10 feet, whichever is greater. Then 40E, all natural drainage and water courses shall be considered as easements. Minimum width shall be 20 feet or to the high water level plus 5 feet horizontal distance, whichever is greater. If a parcel map is filed, such easements shall be shown on the final parcel map. And then moving on to 41A, this is modified from the checklist. Subdivision road within the access easement along Westview Road between the driveway approach to parcel 2 and High Point Road shall be improved in accordance with County of Mendocino Road and Development Standards, drawing A10H, and the following minimum standards where feasible as determined by Department of Transportation staff: 22-foot wide, 8 inches of Class 2 aggregate base rocked road. This section of existing private road shall be widened as much as possible to work towards the minimum standard. And I know there was some discussion with Mark to clarify, when we say widen as much as possible. So we may need to update that condition, basically to the point where, we don't widen to the point where slope stability, mitigation measures to mitigate slope stability don't need to be in place. So, we're not talking about putting in retaining walls or anything like that, just where it's feasible to widen out towards that standard.
And it says, as determined by Department of Transportation staff, is there, because it's somewhat subjective, right, where feasible, is there going to be somebody from Department of Transportation that comes out to the road and essentially tells us, informs us where?
Yeah, I can meet someone out there and go over the road and let you know, hey, this is easily this is feasible without doing a rock retaining wall, or there's certain there's obviously certain areas that are drop off points where can't be widened without a retaining wall.
Okay, so this one, anyways, I have somewhat of an issue with this. So what is the intent, I suppose, behind the 22-foot wide access? Is that for like daily driver use, or is this a recommendation with the road for another reason?
This is per our county standards for minor subdivision roads, and the minimum standard is 22-foot wide road. Okay, I understand that. So I had one of my land partners go out and take measurements on some county roads that lead out to
our road, that service, way more people. Because at this part of the road, it's maybe 10 people use this portion of the road since it's right before the dead end. And so, like when we were driving around on Blackhawk in specific is where we took our measurements, like within a quarter mile of Williams Ranch Road and where Blackhawk meet. I mean, we measured a handful of spaces that were under 22 feet. And to me, I just feel like, if our area only supports about 10 drivers at maximum for these areas, and you're requiring us to meet standards that are even above what the county maintained roads have. I'm confused about that.
Yeah, I know there's existing county roads that are existing that are less than 22 feet wide. If it was a new county road that the county is building, we definitely would have adhere to the standards for new roads. It's just a lot of these roads were built back in the day before these standards existed.
Okay, so there's no ability to accommodate for that width.
Yeah, not any. We got to at least try to adhere to the 22 feet wide. I get that there are some major obstructions or pretty much topography that limits the ability to widen out to that standard. So as long as we can get close to that standard, that would be acceptable for us.
Okay, so with regard to you sending out some Department of Transportation staff, is there going to be some record of where because I don't personally want to get into, somebody comes out one day and says, oh yeah, you got to widen here, you got to widen there. And then somebody else comes out to look at it. And then, they have like a whole new, like after the work is done, they have like a whole new, oh, well, you didn't widen here. You didn't. Is there going to be some sort of, I don't know, documentation about this so that there's a consensus, I suppose?
I would be the person going out there. If you would like to, create a drawing to show what you're proposing to do, and I can approve that, and we can go off of that. That would be fine with me.
Okay, because again, with doing this, we're waterways are going to have to change, and so it's and potential, there might be culvert issues if we're widening. Culverts are obviously only a certain width, and so are there accommodations for those kinds of things with waterway issues and culverts and all that? Because I understand what you're saying. Like if it's just a field, then you just widen it.
If it's just a field, widen it out. Yeah, I mean if there is a culvert that is within that section of roadway that can easily be widened out, then the culvert would need to be extended to fit underneath the roadway.
Okay.
And like I said, if you like to come up with a plan, that shows it, that would be fine with me. And yeah, and then I can't speak on behalf of fire, but I believe there was a condition. Let me see. Yeah, and I can't speak on behalf of for CAL FIRE. There's a letter dated June 27th, 2019, where it has the road width shall be constructed to provide a minimum of 2 10-foot traffic lanes. And they put some exceptions on the letter: widen curves and roads as per direction from Fire Captain Josh Kitchens. Add rock base when needed. So if they have other conditions that are more stringent than mine, then you would need to check with CAL FIRE.
Well, my assumption is that, and this again is an assumption, is that that letter from the CAL FIRE is clearly identifying the exemptions to this application, and they list the 5 restrictions, right? That's the letter we're both working off of.
Yes.
So my assumption is that those are the recommendations that they have for this subdivision, right? That the turnouts, widen curves as necessary, fuel modification, rock face, that. So it doesn't sound to me that those are more strict or, detailed than what we're.
I don't know what that direction from Fire Captain Josh Kitchens is. They're doing an exception to their, 20-foot wide road. So, yeah. So I don't know what that direction from Fire Captain Josh Kitchens is, but so I can only speak on behalf of what our department is requiring.
Okay. So again, going forward, it sounds like I can come up with a map, a proposal map, essentially for where I think widening could be appropriate on the road, and then I can submit that to you for your approval or or what have you.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yeah, if you would like to submit that, and then at the same time, if you want to send that to CAL FIRE and see if they're in agreement of that plan, and then that way everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex, you want to move on to pretty good there, Anna, with the road widths?
Yeah, road width, I have a clear understanding of what the recommendation is and what we can do to move forward with it. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. So going on to the next condition would be 41F, items 1 and 2. Which states grades for subdivision roads must not exceed 16%, where topography requires grades of greater than 16% if requested in writing by applicant and if approved in writing by the applicable fire protection service provider. The DOT may approve grades exceeding 16%, provided that such grades are surfaced with a double chip seal and contain turnouts and other features consistent with fire safe regulations. The process of allowing grades exceeding 16% shall be in accordance with Mendocino County Road and Development Standards, tab H.
Okay, so I also have a question about that because I'm actually unaware, and I've not received any documentation from DOT where the road actually exceeds the 16% grade. Are you aware?
I went out there and took some basic field measurements myself and measured basically that the majority of there's one corner or one turn that is over 16%. Now, if you'd like to hire a engineer to come out there and maybe when you're doing the map for the road improvements that they delineate the area that is over 16%, and that area would need to be either chip sealed or paved, as long as we get the confirmation from the fire service provider that they are willing to make an exception to having the road over 16%. Because if you notice in their letter, it states for CAL FIRE that the grade for all roads, streets, private lanes, and driveways shall not exceed 16%.
Yeah, and again, my understanding from that letter is that at the last paragraph, they said, these are all exceptions with the following restrictions. So
I don't see any exception to the 16% grade.
See, my understanding, given that I'm new to all this, was that those were the usual recommendations, the road width, road surface, road grades, turnarounds, all that. Those were the usual recommendations, but then listed at the bottom that it stated that my project had an exception to those usual standards, but that CAL FIRE was recommending these 5 restrictions on there.
So
Am I not reading the letter correctly?
if that's the case, I just need something that's clear from CAL FIRE that states that over 16% grade is acceptable. And if I get something that's clear as that, then I can have it for my record, and then we can go move on with the chip seal or pavement over that section that is over 16%.
Okay. So you are suggesting then, obviously I need a more clear letter from CAL FIRE regarding this possible exemption to the 16% rule. And then you're also suggesting that I have an engineer come out to clearly mark on a map where the road exceeds 16%, correct?
Correct.
So I had an engineer on your suggestion. I don't even remember earlier in this year, when I was talking with you about this, it was suggested that I have an engineer come out to take a look at the road and make recommendations based off of the quality of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I already have a document from an engineer. They did not take grade measurements because that wasn't, I believe you talked with the engineer as well before he went out to make sure he was doing everything that you would want him to.
I only talked to him after he went out. He only contacted me after he went out and described to me the widths of the road. Okay.
Because what the engineer said is that his only recommended improvements would be additional road base and road surface grading that's already been completed since he was out. So he didn't have any recommendations regarding grade or accommodating for the grade.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever took the grade into consideration.
Okay. Okay, so with regard to the grade measurement, that's not something that not CAL FIRE, but Department of Transportation would come out and do. That would be, I would need a private engineer to come out and make the grade measurements.
That would be ideal. I can do basic spot checking to make sure that any grades over 16% are covered. But it would be better if it came from an engineer.
Okay. And then again, my understanding is the 16% rule is to accommodate for safety vehicle access, right? Specifically CAL FIRE.
Correct. CAL FIRE, emergency vehicles, people leaving the property. It's not just CAL FIRE, it's for everyone's safety. It's a steep road, and some areas I spot checked, it was just about 20%, if not exceeding 20%. And without a 4-wheel drive vehicle, I did a site visit and I went out there, and I had a Toyota Tacoma. I was in 2-wheel drive. I was coming up there, and my back tire started spinning on the rock, and I had to put it into 4-wheel drive to get out of there. So it's definitely a safety concern.
Okay, no, I understand the safety concern aspect of it for sure. However, that also being said, there's been, not everybody out there has 4-wheel drive and is able to access it all year round. And so there hasn't been any access issues for the people that use it on a daily basis. Also for emergency vehicle access, we, specifically with CAL FIRE, that I can't, and I kind of wish CAL FIRE were here so that I could ask this question of them to see how many times they've actually been out to the property or this section of road to actually need to do any kind of emergency work, because we have a really active fire safe council dealing with loads and access. We just installed a secondary egress from High Point Road to 20 in case there's something going on with, Black Bart, Black Hawk 101, all of that. So we, as a community out there, are really, really conscious of fire safety, and so there's no part of me that wants to bar, any kind of safety issue. I, once again, just kind of come back to the amount of people that this road serves, especially beyond that turn. I think if I'm thinking of the same term that you're describing, I think we get back into like there's 5 people that live beyond that, that once again have 2-wheel drive vehicles, drive it every day, have no issue, haven't required emergency services in, at least 5 years. So I'm not sure if there's any, again, wiggle room with regard to this, because
this requirement is coming from our county standards, which was adopted by the Board of Supervisors. It's written into our county standards, so I cannot deviate from the county standards.
Okay, so continuing this conversation with you isn't useful because you can't deviate, right?
Correct.
Okay. So other than getting an engineer out or possibly having you come out to make the grade measurements, that I suppose those are the next steps that you're suggesting to accommodate for 41F1 and 2, right?
Correct. I mean, it goes into the same thing. If you want to wait until you get the subdivision approved, and then, after that point, come out and, take get an engineer out there to, identify the areas and then make the road improvements at that point, that would probably be the wise thing to do.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You have some more there, Alex, for us?
Beyond that, 40-foot, let's see, this would be 41J. 41J 1 and 2. A 40-foot radius turnaround shall be constructed within a 50-foot radius easement at terminus of access easement to the satisfaction of DOT, where topography precludes the use of a cul-de-sac design, and if approved in writing by the applicable fire protection service provider, a hammerhead T could be used. In your case, it's almost like you have almost a cul-de-sac at the end of the entrance to parcel 2. Yes. So that would probably be the most likely place for a turnaround.
Yeah, and we also have a letter. So there's a landowner, I guess that would be on the eastern side of Westview Road. There's a huge field there, and we have a letter from that landowner saying that for sure this can be used for turnaround space. My question about that is, does it need to be rocked and all of that kind of stuff, or does it just have to be like the topography has to be available for, there
yeah. So the 40-foot radius needs to be rocked, and then it needs to be within a 50-foot easement. Radius easement.
I'm not sure that I know what that means, to be honest.
So basically the end of the cul-de-sac there, if you're standing in the middle of the cul-de-sac, 40 feet, and if you're standing in the center of the circle, 40 feet and going around, would be the dimensions of the turnaround.
Okay, so it'd have to be an 80 foot diameter.
80 foot, yes.
And then the part that I'm confused about, I guess, is the 50-foot easement radius. Are you talking about from that center?
Correct.
Okay, and an easement radius that's just like, it has to be on the map that this is a legal easement
Correct, yes.
for safety services and such?
Right, so that you know, that can't be, you know, used for
Developed.
anything else later on. It needs to be an easement for the purposes of the turnaround there.
Okay, so that would be something when it came time to draw up the map proposal, that would be something that the other landowner would have to sign off on, or these easements are things that I'm not understanding, I suppose.
Yeah, it would need to be recorded on the map that they're, yeah, I don't know exactly how you obtain the easements myself, but you would need to, you know, obtain to allow for a 50-foot easement, 50-foot radius easement.
Okay. Okay. All right. And are there, what is the, okay, 8-inch minimum rock base. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then moving on from there, 41L, if approval of the tentative map is conditioned upon certain improvements being made by the subdivider shall notify the Mendocino County Department of Transportation when such improvements have been completed. Prior to the filing of the parcel map, required road improvements must be inspected and approved by the Department of Transportation. Current inspection fees apply.
Okay.
And then 41M, any proposed work within county right of way require obtaining an encroachment permit from the County Department of Transportation. I don't think you're going to be doing any work within the county right of way, but that's just there just in case.
Sure, yeah, because it's all private roads, so.
Oh, correct, yeah. It's just, you know, we you know, sometimes have people doing utility work that comes out to the county road. We just have that just in case there's any work that's possibly being done.
No, that's understandable, yeah.
Yep.
Is that it, Alex, for you?
And that's the extent of my condition, recommended conditions.
Okay. We're going to move on and do the planning side of it real quick. And it sounds like you're not going to be doing any development with this project at the moment.
No, there's no proposed development. Like the summation kind of says in the report, it's to bring a third home into compliance. So that's, I mean, it's already developed, so there's no additional development.
Okay. So I'm going to read through these really quick for a planning side of it, but it's most of them are going to kind of be a moot point for you, but I'll just summarize them real quick. Number one will be aesthetics. Any lighting that you have has to be downcast. It can't be projecting out past your property line and stuff like that. Air quality. Any future development building sites may need a grading requirement, you know, grading permit. If you do any development, you could potentially be subject to a grading permit. Access roads or driveways is number 7. Be maintained to minimize dust generation and stuff like that, and some water. I'm not sure exactly how that gets taken care of, but minimizing dust management.
So is there going to be a more detailed, I mean, obviously I'll get this information and.
Yeah, all this, you'll get a copy of all these checks, all the check boxes we've talked about, everything that I have, DOT, environmental health, all those standards and stuff. You'll get a full checklist with all the details.
Okay.
After we're done here. Let's see. Number 11. Pretty sure this one's still, this is the biological resources one. I'm pretty sure this still applies for you. You need to do a bio.
There are no sensitive species located on the parcel, and I have heard no comments back from CDFW.
I don't-
Initial study still needs to be written, so it'll be looked at in greater detail.
Oh, you're already doing initial study, yes.
Yeah.
This entitlement, so this is number 11, does not become effective until the California Department of Fish and Wildlife filing fees are submitted to the Department of Planning and Building Services. And the fee, as of right now, is $2,598.
I believe, to my understanding, that that's already been submitted and paid for. Is that something building and planning has record of, or?
I don't believe that is the case. That's usually filed after the project has gone to hearing.
Okay, all right, never mind then.
Cultural resources, this is number 12. Basically states that if you find if you're doing any kind of dirt work and you uncover any archaeological discoveries, bones, artifacts, something like that, that you would contact this department and inform them that you've located some items.
Okay,
And then the last one, again, most of the stuff's not going to apply here because you're not building anything. Number 18, the subdivider shall acknowledge in writing best management practices. Basically just a standard way of putting down hay wattles and just best management practices. And there's a whole list, A through G, that explains what that is, and you'll get that in the list. So, but again, it's not going to apply to you at the moment because you're not developing anything.
okay.
And there is-
You said at the moment, I'm sorry to interrupt. You said at the moment, if there is any future development planned after the subdivision already goes through, is that something that needs to be submitted, this best practices form?
Yes, it does. All these will still apply to anything that your future development.
Okay.
For future development. And on that same vein there, the special condition here for any future development, any kind of like garages or anything like that, needs to be reviewed by the Archaeological Commission, which was part of this, what was that there, Mark? You have
The project was heard November 13th, 2019.
Yeah.
The Archaeological Commission determined that there was no survey required, but then they added the special condition.
Okay, so yeah, it's just a condition that says any future development needs to be brought before them to ensure that there's no potential issues.
Okay, so again, just to make sure that I'm clear on this, if like I wanted to build like a wood shed or something, then I would just have to call these folks or whatever, or submit plans, and they would then deem whether it was appropriate or not, or whether any representative needed to come out to look at the site.
Essentially, yeah, that's a good summary.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's about it for this portion of the subdivision here. So everyone's pretty happy with their comments. So planning is going to recommend approval to the subdivision. Planning is recommending approval of the subdivision to the Planning Commission. So can I get a motion on that?
I move that we recommend approval to the Planning Commission of minor subdivision 2019-0004.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anna, do you have any final closing comments or anything you'd like to add?
No, I just appreciate everybody being so helpful with the process. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. On to item 4B. Minor sub 2020, number 5, for owners Travis Hunter, applicant is Laco and Associates, Brad Thomas. This is a minor subdivision of a parcel of approximately 35 acres to create 4 parcels ranging in size from approximately 5 to 8 acres, with the remainder parcel of 11 acres. This lot is located northeast of Ukiah on the west side of Lake Ridge Drive, located at 5370 Lake Ridge Road. Is anyone here for this application?
Hello.
Kelsey Hunter and Travis Hunter.
How you two? Do you have any immediate comments?
No, we're just experiencing the process.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you heard the last minor sub, so it's going to be similar fashion. We go through some conditions, and if you have questions, we can talk about them.
Sounds good.
So we're going to start with planning this time, like we should have last time. So there's standard conditions that get put on all subdivisions. So I'm going to go through planning's standard conditions, and then we'll go from there. If you have questions, you can let me know. Standard condition number 1 is lighting. So any lighting that you may have needs to be downcast for any development that you're going to do. Can't project out past the property lines. Number 6 is air quality, which is any future, any development that you may have subject to a grading requirements and maybe subject to other air quality standards as well. Number 7 is access roads and driveways be maintained to require, any kind of dust generation that you're going to create needs to be minimized through water or however else you're going to do it. Number 11, the entitlement, the subdivision, doesn't become final until the California Department of Fish and Wildlife fees are submitted to the Department of Planning and Building Services. And those fees are $2,598. And usually that happens at the end of your project.
Sounds good.
And then cultural resources, if you uncover any, this is number 12, if you uncover any artifacts or anything that's skulls or anything like that, you are to report it to Planning and Building Services so we can take the appropriate steps. And number 18 is the subdivider shall acknowledge in writing somewhere on the plans best management practices, basically like your BMPs, things that are standard, and there's a whole list of these. You'll get a copy of this, so you'll be able to go through and look at them. But they're pretty standard for all subdivisions.
Okay.
And that is it for planning. Let's move on to environmental health.
What was that last number you just said for planning?
18.
18?
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip to 24. I'll share it with you. Okay.
We're not exactly.
Oh, she's got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't feel like reading every single thing to you, but let's discuss it and make sure we're all on the same page about it. So environmental health is setting water and sewer requirements. And these are the standard requirements. And I want to ask a question though about water, because the application kind of confused me about the water. On one copy, I've got private well. On another, I've got community well.
We have a private well that they added a special sanity seal to, so the well can turn into a community well if we want it to.
But it's not a public water system.
No, not at all. It's a private well that we had dug by Fish Brothers.
They said that we had to do that to get a subdivision, that we had to get that sanity seal.
That was like a requirement of if we were gonna subdivide, we put in that sanity seal.
Gotcha. So the sanitary seal depth being 50 feet versus a residential seal depth of 20 feet is what you guys are talking about. And you only get one shot at doing that when the well goes in. And if you think anywhere down the line that this water source might qualify as a community water source or a public water well by the state of California, then that would be required. So I understand what you're talking about. These conditions are not about the sanitary seal. These are water quantity and water quality conditions.
Okay.
But I just wanted to go back because I was a little confused by those. Okay, so number 24. We are gonna check number 24.
Okay.
Should you need to dig test pits, your qualified site evaluator needs to notify us at least 2 weeks in advance for us to be on site if we can make it. And then we're going to get into 25 and 26. Correct me if I've got any of this wrong, because I want to get it right now with you guys. So on 25, what it says is you will submit a site evaluation report that demonstrates that there is some place for septic on the proposed parcels that don't already have any on them. And I have that written down as parcel 1, parcel 3, parcel 4, and the remainder.
Yes. I believe.
So right here would be 1.
So 1, 3, 4, and the remainder, right?
Yes. Right there. Now on item number 26, that is for parcel 2, which states the report just for replacement area parcel 2. I do believe that condition will have already been met from the 2014 permit we have on record.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna scroll down. I'll try and slowly. We're gonna need number 28, which is the map. Then we're gonna go to 29. And this is the water quantity test, the inland proof of water versus a coastal area proof of water. And that is box number 1. And this will be from anywhere on the proposed subdivision. So this is a well pump test that is conducted by a qualified site evaluator. It is not the same as the well log that the driller gave when it was drilled.
Okay.
There is a prescribed manner in which that test has to be done and who can do it. And there's additional information that I can give you or your qualified site evaluators should they need it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And then the last one will be a water test. You've got to get the water sample tested for these specific items. And if any of them occur in a high enough level that it's above the EPA's recommendations, a note will appear on the map that says high levels of iron may exist in the waters under this parcel.
So this is different than the water test we've already conducted?
Well, I don't know.
We did turn in a water, we had a water test with Alpha Analytics and I think it was back in 2020 and turned it in with LACO.
Yeah, it was one of the requirements at the time.
Environmental Health does not have that report. I didn't see it.
Yeah, we'll get it to you.
Okay.
Just went through all the files. We've got 2014 septic, the well permits, building permits, the application for subdivision. That's it.
Okay, so we'll figure out what happened with that.
It might be And that list right there, that's what, it's gotta be on that report. So
Okay.
it starts out with calcium, iron, magnesium, manganese, and goes down. So if you have it in front of you, that's what we'll be checking it for.
Sounds good.
That's it for EH.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Alex, before I get going with you, I actually forgot to mention population of housing is number 39, which is the subdivider shall pay into the county affordable housing trust fund an amount of, well, you have 4 parcels, so it'd be 5% of the countywide median sale price. And that'll be a condition that's in there. And we can talk about that more afterward if you'd like to, but for the sake of brevity, we'll move on to Alex. I just wanted to note that for the record that that's also a condition that will be in there. I believe it will be.
Wait, I didn't understand the conditions. So you're saying that if we were to sell, 5% would be given to the county?
I believe that's, yeah, that housing trust fund, yeah. Because you have 5%, let's see. 5,553. So it'd be like, it would be over $11,000. We can come back to that one though. I have to double check something on that one.
Okay.
Move on to Alex at DOT, and then we can recap if you want with that one.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alex.
All right. I'm referencing my letter from November 16th, 2020. I don't know if you guys have a copy of that.
Oh, I don't know if we received it.
Okay. I'll go over it. And then I'll reference I don't know if you have a copy of the checklist with you.
Line back up, starting at 41.
Yeah, we're starting at 40.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Here we
So,
go. Just a second.
okay.
Too many screens for me. Okay. Here we go. Transportation.
Okay, so so the first condition, recommended condition is 40A. It's a little bit modified. There shall be provided an access easement of 60 feet in width from a publicly maintained road to each parcel being created, except where the road does not have the potential to serve more than 4 parcels, in which case the minimum easement width shall be 40 feet. Documentation of access easement shall be provided to DOT for review prior to final approval.
Okay.
And then moving on to 40C, if a parcel map is filed, all easements of record shall be shown on the parcel map. All utility lines shall be shown as easements with widths as shown of record or a minimum of 10 feet, whichever is greater. Moving on to 40E, all natural drainage and water courses shall be considered as easements. Minimum width shall be 20 feet or to the high water level plus 5 feet horizontal distance, whichever is greater. If a parcel map is filed, such easements shall be shown on the final parcel map.
Got it.
Then moving on to 41B.
B as in boy?
Yeah, 41B. I'm just making sure yours lines up with mine. Yeah, okay. So subdivision, it's a little bit modified from that. Subdivision road within the access easement shall be improved in accordance with County of Mendocino road standards with the following minimum standards: 22-foot wide road, 12-inch minimum thickness, class 12-inch minimum thickness of class 2 aggregate base, and an 18-foot wide double chip seal beginning at the end of County Road 226A, unless portions of existing pavement is determined by DOT staff to be in acceptable condition. I haven't had a chance to actually do a site visit out there. I know there's a locked gate past the end of the county road coming off of Lake Ridge, coming from Marina Drive. Is it dirt right now, or is there
So the up to that gate is paved, but then past that gate is dirt.
And it's
It's a really good dirt road. Like
yeah. So part of our conditions is that it would need to be double chip sealed, 18 feet wide.
the whole road or our driveway?
From the gate going until the cul-de-sac.
What cul-de-sac?
like all the way to
All the way to where your parcels are being created.
Okay. All right.
That's that. The 12-inch, it's Lake Ridge Road is already rocked, right?
Yeah.
Like a rock road. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it's an existing road, so you might, already have, that 12 inches of thickness for the aggregate base. If not, you may have to do some rock and, some road base than the chip seal. It just depends on the existing thickness of the rock.
Okay.
And then the widths as well. I don't know what the current widths are.
it's probably wider than that.
Yeah. So yeah, if it's wider than that, that's fine. And then it just needs to be chip sealed to 18 feet wide.
All right.
And then from there, 41E, install or replace drainage culverts where necessary. New or replaced culverts shall be a minimum of 12 inches in diameter and designed by a civil engineer to accommodate 10-year storm event. Like I said, I haven't done a site visit because there's a gate.
I don't think there is any culverts.
If there's not any culverts, there's nothing to worry about. Yeah, if you guys would like to do a site visit, I'm more than happy to do so. But if there's no existing culverts, then you probably shouldn't.
We'll definitely double check, but I'm pretty sure there's no culverts.
Okay. Perfect. And then moving on, number 41J, a 40-foot radius turnaround shall be constructed within a 50-foot radius easement at terminus of access easement to the satisfaction of DOT. I think from their tentative map, you have that somewhat shown. Right there where.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a lot of really good turnaround space.
Yeah, pretty much right there at the end where you guys show parcel 1, 2, and 3, and 4 kind of coming together at the end of the road there.
Yeah.
So that would be that would need to be 40-foot wide radius road there within a 50-foot easement, and you guys already have that little delineated on the tentative map.
I believe he has a 50-foot one there.
Yeah, 50-foot. So it's a 50-foot easement, and then the actual road surfacing is 40-foot radius.
Okay.
And then I'm just looking at it now. That parcel 1. So you would need, so that easement would also have, so that parcel 1 access is coming through parcel 2, is that correct?
They all at the same time.
Not really. It's like right before parcel 2. Like it has its own road that's like right before the parcel 2. He kind of has it marked there like dirt road.
Yeah, dirt road, but it goes through parcel 2, correct?
No,
I don't think so.
it's on the side of it.
Yeah, it just brushed right next to where the line is.
So where it comes to a triangle at the tip, that's where the properties kind of conjoined, but they're not connected. I mean, they're just connected. They're not. You have your own way into it. Parcel 1.
Like where he has the flag marked when you go to the property, you don't have to go on to, like, it's not marked on parcel 2.
So as long as basically on your final map, if parcel 1 has, if the land of parcel 1 extends to that cul-de-sac,
Alex?
Yeah.
So there are 2 maps in our packet. The second one, which is August 25th, 2020, not the first one, which is October.
Okay,
The August one has what they're describing in it.
Oh, okay.
But the October one doesn't, so I don't know.
I might be looking at an old one in the file here.
Or the newer one.
Let me pull up the new one then.
Well, no, the new one doesn't show what they're talking about. The old one from August does.
Okay. Yeah, the old one, hold on. The old one from September, right? Or October, I mean.
No, I've got a 8/25/2020 in the packet that I got, which was further in the back of the packet.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so parcel 1, okay. I see I see that map dated August 1st, 2020.
Yeah.
So if that's a parcel configuration and that parcel 1 is coming up to where that turnaround would be, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then, yeah, that covers 41 J, and then we have 41 L. If approval of the tentative map is conditioned upon certain improvements being made by the subdivider, the subdivider shall notify the county when such improvements have been completed. Prior to the filing of the parcel map, required road improvements must be inspected and approved by the DOT. Current inspection fees apply. And then 41M, any proposed work within county right-of-way requires obtaining an encroachment permit from the county DOT. I don't think you'll be doing any work within the county right-of-way, but
no.
So that concludes my recommended conditions. Do you have any questions?
No, not really. We're good.
Okay. Hey, Russ, thanks for hopping on there. I was wondering if you could help out with the population housing deal. If that was a condition that was necessary, or if that was something that was that's specific for something else.
Sure, yeah. Kelsey, this is Russ Ford, senior planner. So I just wanted to touch back on that population and housing condition that Matt was talking about, because that can be potentially very significant on some of these larger subdivisions. And Marlene, if you don't mind resharing your screen and going to number 39 there, just so we can have that visible. I guess we have that up already.
Number 39, right?
39.
There we are. And then
Yes, perfect, thank you. So Kelsey, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this relates to an inclusionary housing ordinance that the county adopted some years ago. So basically it comes into play at the subdivision level, so right now, and it's based on the median home value and the total number of vacant lots that are going to be created with the subdivision. So it doesn't kick in until you have 2 or more vacant lots. And then so you can see that those little check boxes there. For 2 vacant lots, you're paying 2% of that median home value. And for 4 or 5 vacant lots, which is what you guys have, you'd be paying that 5%. So as of March, the median home value in Mendocino County was about $553,000. So 5% of that is $27,650. And that's a fee that has to be paid before the subdivision is complete. That's not related to the sale. That's something that the county collects for an in lieu fund that they intend to use to build affordable housing. So essentially you have the option of dedicating some of these parcels for the use of affordable housing, or paying an in lieu fee instead of actually building the housing. Does that make sense?
We'd probably rather dedicate the parcels to affordable housing.
Okay, so that's something you're gonna have to work out probably with your staff planner, because there are some other, there's some incentives and things that the county can offer, but I don't think we're ready to discuss that today. So keep in mind, this condition will be flexible depending on how you decide to run with this subdivision.
Okay. I mean, as of right now, our ideal is just to get the subdivision completed, which is, I mean, it's already been, we're 2 years in or something. So once we get there, we'll develop further. But ideally, we do want to build houses on the properties.
So another thing to consider, because sometimes this does come up, I mean, that's a big fee, that's a big shock a lot of times that people aren't aware of going into it. If you did a 3 parcel subdivision with 2 vacant lots, then you're only looking at about $11,000 in that in lieu fee. And I was looking at the tentative map. Is one of these lots developed? Is there a residence on that already?
It's not a completed residence. It's about 75% completed. The permits are still open with the county.
Okay. Okay, so you could conceivably do 3 lots, because that one wouldn't count as vacant, and then that would get you within under that. If you did 4 lots, you'd be looking at that $11,000 fee. If you just did the 3 lots, you could probably get away with not having it because you've got 2 or fewer vacant parcels.
Okay, so like if you're saying if we had LACO redo the tentative map, so where you ended up with 3 lots, but then 2 vacant lots?
I'll have to check that. I'm not sure if it kicks in at 2 or more than 2, but yes, that's essentially the way to get around that in lieu fee or the inclusionary housing is to reduce the number of lots that are being created.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely something we could consider. I would have to talk to LACO about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to clarify that because it's important information.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something we didn't know going into it, but I understand.
And if you guys do that, you'll come back to subdivision and we'll redo this with the new proposed map.
Okay. Okay, so we should probably just continue to another date after I discuss with LACO? Is that what you guys are
It's
suggesting?
entirely up to you guys. You know, I think we're probably mostly done with this. So if you just wanted to finish up here, then you'd have some tentative conditions, which would still mostly apply to the revised subdivision. And then you have a better idea going forward.
Okay, so just because we finish here and approve here today doesn't mean that we can't change the map.
Correct. This is all tentative, so you're not actually getting any approval until you get to the planning commission stage.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good.
Thanks, Marlena.
Thanks, Russ. So, we're still gonna make a recommendation, correct? I believe we are, they're not continuing anything. We're gonna make a recommendation to, approve the subdivision to planning commission still. But they still need these conditions, because they can still revise them. So planning, yeah, that's the right way to go.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you've got these conditions already discussed today, so you can recommend approval of these conditions. And then if the applicants decide they want to revise that, you know, they're more than welcome to do it, and then just bring it back to sub when you have an updated map.
Okay. So planning is recommending approval of the subdivision to the planning commission. Can I get a motion on that?
I move that we recommend approval of minor subdivision 2020-0005 to the planning commission.
I second that.
All in favor? All right, perfect. Okay. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to item 4C. Minor sub 2021 number 6 for owners Robert and Cindy Leneve. Agent Ron Franz. This is a minor subdivision of a parcel of approximately 4 acres to create 2 parcels. One approximately 3 acres. One of approximately 3 acres and the other of approximately 1 acre. The lot is located northeast of Capella, east of Yuba Drive, located at 7825 Yuba Drive. Is there anybody here for this application? Seeing none. Environmental health. So nobody's here for this application, and we're gonna run out of time here. By 11, there's another hearing that has to take place, and we still have a pre-application conference to get to. So for the sake of brevity, well, I don't know if we need to continue or not, but we can run through and see if there's anything that needs to happen, because we can still make an approval to the planning commission.
I need a moment. You could start with planning. If
I'll
you
start with planning
want,
and say
but
that.
I've got to track it down. Something
Okay.
got disorganized.
Well, from planning's point of view, we have standard conditions in place that will be referenced in the checklist here. So planning's going to move forward with theirs. So if DOT has anything to say that's outside of standard conditions.
Nothing outside of the standard conditions. Subdivision road, 22-foot wide road, 8-inch minimum thickness rock road. A lot of it's already paved already, so they might just be doing some shoulder backing. I've already talked with Ron Franz, who's the agent for this subdivision, and he's aware of all the conditions that we have and are okay with them, from what I understand.
Right.
Okay. They're also working on a building permit, so I had them split. I've got a question, or what I wanted to talk to them about and make sure I understand is, I believe they are proposing to support one parcel with a water well and the other parcel with an existing meter from a water district. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So then their water conditions would kind of be a split, be all. I did reach out to the water district to find out if the meter was installed to the satisfaction of the district already, and they had not gotten back to me. So our conditions would be all the water conditions: water quality and quantity off the well for parcel 1, and the meter being installed to the satisfaction of the district for parcel 2.
Okay. Okay.
And their 24 would be needed, and 25 would be for parcel 2, and 26 would be for parcel 1. And we need a map, which I think is 28. And the water condition will be the 1200 from inland.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Any other comments, concerns off the top of your head? Nothing? Okay. Then, like I said, for the sake of brevity here, we're gonna move forward and say that planning is approval of this subdivision to the planning commission. So can I get a motion?
I move that we approve minor subdivision 2021-0006 for recommendation at planning commission.
I second that.
All in favor? For approval.
I second that.
Perfect. Okay, and that's it for the minor subdivisions. So let's move on to item 5, pre-application conference. Item 5 is a PAC 2022 number 9 for owners Windy Hollow, applicant Lance Storanetta, and agent is James Barrett. This pre-application conference is to discuss boundary line adjustment 2021 55 and possible general plan amendment and rezone request from rangeland to agricultural. The parcel is in the coastal zone south of Elk on the east and west side of State Route 1, located at 11001 and 10999 South Highway 1 in Elk. Is there anybody here for this application? James. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Very well. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Liam, you here for this?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so, hi, Jim. I'll go ahead and go through.
Good morning.
Morning. I'll go ahead and go through my notes on this. I know we're a little bit short on time. I don't know if we run overtime, if we have the option to continue it to a later date, maybe.
Or later this afternoon.
Or maybe this afternoon and continue talking, but I'll just go ahead and run through what I have, and then if anyone else has comments, or if you have questions, feel free to chime in.
I have to leave at time, but EH does not have any comments for this boundary line proposal.
Okay.
I won't be talking very much. I tested positive for COVID, and my only symptom is a cold, and I lose my voice very quickly. So you're fortunate today.
Okay. All right. Well, so essentially, this is to discuss a boundary line adjustment that came in. The boundary line adjustment B 2021-0055. I believe there should be a tentative map that was included in the packet. Essentially, boundary line adjustments, they have to conform with the coastal element, and they need to be consistent with the zoning code. In the proposed boundary line adjustment, a portion of parcel number 1 is within the agricultural zoning district, and another portion of parcel 1 is within the TP zoning district. So that parcel has a split zoning. The minimum lot area for the agricultural district is 60 acres, and the minimum lot area for the TP district is 160 acres. Parcel 2 of the boundary line adjustment contains a portion within the agricultural district and another portion within the rangeland district. The rangeland district has a minimum lot size of 160 acres. Now, boundary line adjustments have to preserve the same number of conforming lots present before the adjustment. A determination was made for B 2021-0055 that both lots are currently conforming to the agricultural minimum parcel size because the portions that were within the agricultural classification are both above 60 acres. And the proposed adjustment would reduce the size of parcel number 2 to 60 acres. But the portion of the lot of that 60-acre parcel that was within the agricultural zone would become less than 60 acres and therefore would become non-conforming. So that parcel 2 would move from conforming status to non-conforming status. And like I mentioned before, that is not allowable for boundary line adjustments. So the project was placed on hold pending submittal of the revised tentative map. I've already talked with you, Jim, about the issues in coming up with a new configuration for that. You had mentioned in your application County Code section 20.484.010, when any lot has been legally created, 20.524.025, which states that any land division or boundary line adjustment shall not result in a parcel having more than one zoning district designation, not including combining district designation, if such designation would adversely affect environmental resources or agricultural use of the property. So both existing lots have two different zoning district designations. The resulting parcel number 1 that was proposed in B 2021-0055 would have 2 zoning district designations, but these 2 designations are not expected to adversely affect the environmental resources or the continuing agricultural use of the property. So there would be no conflict with that county code section. I wanted to bring up County Code section 20.484.010, which states when any lot has been legally created and which has not merged and is zoned to a minimum parcel size larger than the existing parcel size, said lot shall be found to be legally non-conforming and shall not be subject to the requirements for variance to minimum lot size. And I think this really gets to the crux of the issue with this boundary line adjustment, is trying to determine whether or not these 2 lots are within conforming status or non-conforming status given their split zoning. So the portion of parcel 1 that's within the TP district, it clearly doesn't conform to the 160 minimum lot size. So that parcel must have been zoned before, or that parcel must have been legally created before that 160 acre minimum was applied to it. And the same thing goes for the portion of parcel 2 within the rangeland district, that little triangle of rangeland. Staff determined that the nonconformity of both of the portions of these parcels does not render the entire lots themselves to be non-conforming. So the portion of those lots that are within the agricultural classification should still remain at 60 acres after the adjustment. So given that it was really staff's determination that both of these lots are currently conforming to the minimum parcel size of the agricultural classification and that the proposed boundary line adjustment would make one of them non-conforming, which wouldn't be allowable. I don't think there's really any wiggle room. I don't know if Matt has any other comments on that. My interpretation is that, like I said, both are considered conforming and that the fact that they have a split zone doesn't make them non-conforming. So given that, I think either there's a couple options available. Potentially, you could work with the other property owners to do a boundary line adjustment with an additional parcel to get that agricultural parcel up to above 60 acres. If not that, then what you had mentioned, doing a general plan amendment and a rezone. If that's the case, I can go ahead and run through the general process for that and maybe the cost as well. I did a basic estimate of what it might cost for a general plan amendment and rezone. I came up with $17,380 for a combined submittal. General plan amendments and rezone, they can be submitted simultaneously. In addition to that, I would imagine that a negative declaration or a mitigated neg deck would be prepared per CEQA, in which case the 2,598 fish CDFW fee would also apply. A couple other notes on general plan amendments and rezone. I think a good idea, if you were to apply for one of those, would be to support the general plan amendment request with justification for the proposed change, including consistency with the LCP and the general plan policies. Specifically, I think it would be helpful to include maybe an argument for why that little triangle should be rezoned into ag, and that it's in keeping with the agricultural use on the remaining lots. Let's see. Just a couple other notes. I'm not exactly sure how the general plan amendment rezone would affect the ag preserve. I'm assuming that the existing Williamson Act contract would just remain in place, and that rezoning from RL to ag wouldn't really change much. As far as the process for general plan amendments, this is within the coastal zone. So ultimately, any sort of general plan amendment and rezone would require certification by the California Coastal Commission. So I just wanted to bring that up. But the general process is that after application and staff review, the project is scheduled for the Planning Commission, which is the first public hearing. After the Planning Commission renders their decision, it goes to the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors is ultimately who takes final action on the general plan amendment and rezone. I think the Coastal Commission certification would probably come somewhere in between Planning Commission's approval and the Board of Supervisors' approval of the request. I think that pretty much wraps up my comments on it. I'm happy to answer any questions you have in the remaining time we have, but that was kind of where I was at with the project.
From a planning perspective, that's fantastic. That's great. I mean, you're taking it, the one thing, the big thing is the conformity, right? The lot sizes and making sure that they're meeting those.
I think the major question was, do you have the map in front of you?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, if you have the zoning. Here's the zoning of these. So you'll see that parcel 1 is these two APNs right here. Mm-hmm. Parcel 1 and parcel 2, I should say, are these northern 5 parcels.
Yeah.
So if you look at the zoning of these, the rangeland zone cuts in between right here.
Yeah.
And so if you flip to the proposed configuration, you'll see that one parcel is in this general area, and that it would be included within this rangeland zone. So the agricultural area would be reduced to less than 60 acres. So the question is really, since this parcel is split zoned RL and ag, and likewise this one is split zoned TP and ag, whether or not that makes the entire parcel itself, the entire legal parcel, non-conforming, or if each one has their own conformity, I would say. My determination was that.
Well, if it's already non-conforming, right?
Well, that's the question. Are these lots considered conforming or non-conforming currently? Because they conform to this parcel, this one parcel here. Yeah. It conforms to the agricultural minimum, but it doesn't conform to the rangeland.
Currently doesn't still.
Currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. After adjustment, it wouldn't conform to either the ag or the rangeland.
Well, it sounds like one's going to be considered. One will stay non-conforming, and the other one sounds like it's going to go to a non-conforming.
Well, that's the thing, is that this is one single parcel. That's the question.
Yeah. But
So
that's the zoning of the parcel itself.
So this single parcel is split zone. So in its current configuration, the question is that considered non-conforming or a conforming lot? Given the fact that it conforms to the ag zone, but it doesn't conform to the rangeland in its current configuration.
Yeah.
So given that, does the fact that it doesn't conform to rangeland render the entire parcel non-conforming?
I
Or,
think so, but I'd want to double check that one. That's something I'd want to, absolutely, I wouldn't want to say that on the fly because I'm not confident to say yes. I want to say it doesn't. I want to say it doesn't render it, but
that was my,
I would want to double check before I just kind of off the cuff made a decision.
yeah, that was my, so
Concern. Yeah, that's a good catch too. That's a
maybe we can,
strong concern.
and that was really what was holding up the original boundary line adjustment, so.
Okay.
I don't know, Jim, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do, as long as I can. You know, this all started whenever we are trying to take that Victorian there, which after stirred out about the property, you know, he's a dairyman. And that ranch had existed for some time by the Galettis, and it was operated as a dairy. However, this strange configuration has been generated by the county. That 20-acre wedge was generated by the county when they did the certificate of compliances. Rather than complying with the code section, it requires the county to look at the CCs and make sure that something like this doesn't occur, or that it can still be placed in and used as an ag preserve. That wasn't done. And it wasn't done throughout the county, quite frankly. The CCs were just issued irregardless of the zoning classifications. And so that's, you know, we're dealing with some of those issues today. But what happened there is that two things. One is that the county had those classifications on part of this large ranch that eventually part of it in, I think it's 72, whenever the TPZ came in, they did away with the ag preserve parts that were actually timber. And so those remain in the ag preserve, but not under contract. So that wiped out some of those parcels, the TP, which you have there now, or RL. And then that reduced the acreage of the prime areas, but it didn't follow any rhyme or reason. There's no reason for that line on their ag preserve to run across there like that. The soils on either side are the same. It was done as a convenience of showing on a map. The contract doesn't distinguish between type 1 and type 2. The map is what distinguishes between type 1 and type 2, as you well know. And we've eliminated type 1, type 2s, and type 3s altogether now.
Yeah.
But, you know, over the years, I have processed, I want to say hundreds, but that's not true, probably less than hundreds, but where we do have mixed zonings. And there's a distinction between a conforming lot size with regard to minimum lot size regarding subdivision, and lot size and non-conforming with regard to zoning. And so that's what we have here in this case. We'll still have, if they approve the BLA, we would still have the 60 acres required under the ag zoning. I just don't get why, and the reason we doing this is that Colonial House needs a lot of work. It needs several $100,000, multiple $100,000s of dollars of work to rejuvenate it, to bring it back, and to be able to use it. It says 6 bedrooms, so there may be more than that. But as a dairyman, Starnetta has no use for that. He has use for all of the land and uses all of the land as it is, but that building sits there with nothing happening to it, and it's going to further deteriorate. one of the prime reasons for this BLA was to isolate that building on its own lot and market
I'm
it as
sorry,
something.
Mr. Barrett,
Yes.
we've run out of time. We have another, hearing that needs to happen here and other meetings that we all need to get to, unfortunately.
Hey, Jim, I'll contact you, later today and we can talk about this further. The zoning issue.
Okay. Yeah, my final comment is that, hey, we'd love to proceed just with the BLA as presented. I think I would approve it as planning director if I was still a director. At the most, maybe we could just do a rezoning and not have to do a rezone and a general plan amendment, just to try to save this building. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
I'll be in touch later.
All right, that moves us on to item 6. Any matters from staff? Nope. On to item 7, adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll contact you. Discuss. Sorry about your This guy here? Yeah. Sure was. Let me, I'll have to put some stuff, yeah.